So in this video, I wanted to talk briefly about this water filter I just installed. It's the Aquasana Claryum Direct Connect. It's an under the sink water filter. It's a carbon filter, not a reverse osmosis or anything like that. And the filter is a really good option for renters who want an inline filter that doesn't have a separate tap for drinking water. So you don't have to drill through your countertop. You have to install it. So there's a couple of screw holes over here inside or like under the sink, but you don't have to go through the counter. And that's a pretty big selling point. For this, I was using this. This is a 3M Filtrete, and this is the head here. It's the, I forgot the exact model. I think it's the Filtrete 3US-PSO1. The filters were very good. It's this one. It filters out lead and some other stuff, but it's an older filter type and it doesn't deal with PFOS or PFAS. The Aquasana has the newer NFS certs, which include 42, 53, and 401. So it's getting your lead and heavy metals and stuff like that, but also the PFOS and PFAS, which are a lot more of a concern now, and it wasn't really something that was being worried about as much when these filters came out maybe 8-10 years ago. Also, 3M is no longer making this Filtrete filter. They've farmed it out or sent it out to a third party. So it seemed like a good sign to switch over to the Aquasana, which you're getting those better certifications and don't have to worry about a third party filter manufacturer. Installation is very simple. Again, I did a swap over and I had this thing mounted right here. This is essentially the same as what you're getting with the Aquasana. It's this piece right here. You have your inlet on the left, your outlet on the right. Put it on the wall, and this piece goes in and you twist it. It's a quick connect, and here's your filter. It's easy to hide away. They also include mounts, so you could mount it horizontally, which is a really nice feature. The main downside with the Aquasana is that the filter is about extra 4 inches over the Filtrete. So you need a little bit of extra space, and they do recommend that you have at least 3 inches of clearance at the bottom of the filter. So you have to have a pretty good amount of space under your sink. It's not that hard, and if you're pressed for space, then you could do it horizontally, but this worked perfectly right where I had the 3M. And then the tubing is very similar to the 3M, but very simple as well. Again, it's basically you're going from your cold water line right here. You put on this adapter right here, which has an inlet and an outlet in one, which is quite nice. So you screw this on, and you're going your cold water out into the filter's inlet here. So the inlet is on the left. Here's the outlet. It goes back, and it goes back here. And here's your cold water line to your sink right here. This setup is really nice because everything is kept in line, and the sink hose, this one, the cold water going to your sink, that doesn't have to be recut or replaced. You just screw it on to this. You know, you're adding a pretty significant size piece of plastic here, so there might be a little pressure on there. That's a bit of a concern, but it's held up well so far. You know, it'd be nicer if this was a little bit heavier duty, but again, no immediate problems. And again, this cold water line coming from the sink doesn't have to move its position. All it's moving out just 2 inches from where it was previously attached, which was right here to the outlet right here on your cold water line when you weren't using a filter. Now we added the filter, and it's basically going out here, back in here, has these 3-foot tubes in the filter between, and now your cold water is going out here to your sink. The upside of this is the installation is very simple. It's about a half an hour installation, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on how comfortable you are. But there's nothing here that's irreversible. And because the cold water is going back to your sink, then you don't have to worry about any sort of drilling to the countertop to put in your little drinking water exit or faucet, whatever. The downside with this is all of your cold water now is being filtered. So if you want to water your plants using filtered water, or if you want to fill up a couple gallons to boil water, you're also filling that with filtered water, which is not necessarily a terrible idea, but you're increasing the price of that water a lot, and there's no way to get unfiltered cold water. Your hot water line is right here. That's uninterrupted, that's normal. So the hot water is not filtered. All of the cold water is filtered. You will lose a little bit of pressure on your cold water line, but the Aquasana is losing less pressure than I did with the 3M. So for me, it was an upgrade. The capacity of this one, I forget what it is in gallons, but it's more than this one. Usually these things run around 800 gallons or something like that. I'll have to check on that. I'll put it in the notes. But it seems like it's good capacity. It should last normal household maybe 6 months or so. Aquasana has been very reliable with manufacturing their filters, so I'm not worried about that. And again, you're going to lose a little bit of pressure from your cold water, and as the filter gets older, it'll collect more and more sediment, so you'll lose more and more pressure to your cold water. That's one of the main downsides of having sort of an inline cold water filter, as opposed to having your direct cold for your sink, and then the filtered cold water coming through a separate drinking water tap. But again, that requires having another hole in your countertop. You could replace the hole you're using for your soap dispenser if you have one, but again, that's a different video. So far so good with the Aquasana Claryum. It's working out really well. It's an easy replacement for any under the sink filter, particularly if you're trying to get rid of this Filtrete, which you're not happy with the way 3M has farmed out those filters, the way I was. And I was just trying to get away from this system into one with the new NFS certifications, particularly that 401 certification right here, which this one has. And I wanted just a newer system with a little bit better performance, so I got this Aquasana Claryum, and it was about $150 maybe, pretty much in line, maybe a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones, but you know, kind of in line with what you'd expect. And again, the main advantage is for renters or anyone that doesn't want to do any significant work. It's there, it takes up barely any space, it's going straight to your cold water, and it's a 30-minute installation with very little expertise required. So far so good, and pretty nice unit. Thanks for watching.